Welcome back. Today I'm going to take a look at a website that somebody mentioned to me, and I don't think it could be considered a full review, so even though it says review up there, consider this more of a first look. Now, about a year ago, I looked at a site called chessbook.com, which is basically just training you in your openings, and then that website actually turned out to be a sponsor for me for a couple of videos after that, or 3 videos, so thank you to them. But recently, another site has sent me a message asking if I would take a look at their site. Now, they haven't sponsored me, they just asked if I would take a look, and I'm going to because I'm interested in this sort of thing. This one is called openingtrainer.com, and just right off the bat, the layout of this front page, this opening page that you first land on, looks a lot like chessbook.com to me. I do like the dark mode. I also prefer this color of board to the dark green that was the default on that other site. This one says start training, no sign up required. We're going to do that in just a second. It says it uses Lichess statistics to perfectly emulate a human. Well, I don't know about perfectly, but I get that you want to learn your openings as if a person was playing against you, a person around your level rather than a grandmaster or a computer. That part also sounds a little bit like chessbook.com. You can track your progress. You can choose any starting position. They use the Sicilian defense Alapin as an example here. Get a unique rating in each of your favorite openings. See your progress in fancy charts. I mean, that does look pretty fancy, better than I know how to make. It says here that it's focused more on thinking rather than rote memorization, which is, something that a lot of us have complained about, that especially when you're over 50 like myself, I can still think, but I have a little bit harder time memorizing long strings of things than I did when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I didn't even use a grocery list. I would remember 25 items in a row and I'd go get exactly those things, but I can't remember more than 4 or 5 items when I go to the store these days. I have to keep a list. So, thinking, figuring stuff out, that makes sense to me. I haven't tried it yet, so we'll see. There's some testimonials here and just flashing through some of the openings. Okay, well, let's click on Start Training and see what it looks like. When I click Start Training, okay, it opens up here. There is a sign in button if you have an account. I also haven't looked yet to see, what it costs if you opt for a plan, but I haven't signed in or logged in or anything here, and I am able to try something. I can do a rated mode or a training mode, play as white or black, choose initial starting position. Oh, you can add a position, okay. My rating is 1100. It's a little higher than that, but I don't know how to change it. Or maybe this is my rating on this site. Okay, start rated. Oh, okay, here you get to choose your rating. Play a better opening than your opponent. Game will end after the opening. Okay, my starting rating, I think I will leave it at 1100. I'm more like 16 something on Lichess in Rapid, but I don't know if they're using chess.com's system or FIDE's rating or Lichess's. So let's leave it at 1100 and click Let's Go. I'm going to play the English opening and see what my opponent does. Okay, here I play knight to c3. Okay, that is something that I have seen, but it is not one of the most common moves that I face at my level. What I would have expected instead of this is one of the knights out or this bishop coming to either here or here. But now that bishop, the dark square bishop, can't get out at all. Okay, I think I'm still going to play my g3 pawn and see what the opponent does. Okay, now this knight has come out. Like I said, I don't see that e6 very often, so I'm not remembering exactly what I play against it. Looks like they're going to fianchetto over here. I'm going to go ahead and play e3 to get this knight out to e2, and then maybe make a push for d4. Okay, they have castled, I have castled, and now, like I said, I'm going to try for d4. But if I do, now that they have the rook lined up behind their e-pawn, when I play d4, they're just going to push that e-pawn, and they'll have both the rook and the knight defending it here. So maybe I should just play d3. It's weird that the arrow won't stay there, but oh, there it stayed. I had to hit, it went away. All right. But if it does push forward, I guess I can always push my f-pawn. I'm going to try it, see what they play. They pushed forward. Oh, I lost rating. Is it over now? So I must have mistakenly played that because that's where it stopped. Or maybe 8 moves is as far out as it goes. It looks like there's an eval after every move. I don't know if that was there while I was playing because I didn't look, or maybe it just popped up at the end. It looks like my highest rating point was right after they played the g6 pawn, but then I went down when I played e3, so I probably should have played d4 then, is my guess, but you can analyze it on Lichess. I assume if you click next, it'll go to a new setup here. So let's see what happens when you click analyze on Lichess. It actually loads Lichess in a separate tab, separate browser tab. Well, that's handy. I know how to use Lichess. I know how to turn on the engine here. And I remember that it said my biggest gain or my biggest advantage was right there after they played g6. And the engine would have played knight to f3 here or h3 even. But I played e3. which probably would have been counted as inaccurate because it took us down quite a bit. But that's what I would have played in a game. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I don't play knight to f3 when they have a pawn right there. It says that they wouldn't push the pawn, but every human opponent that I play probably would. Now I have a huge advantage because I can just go over here, but okay. The engine says they would probably push this pawn or put that knight back. Humans that see humans wouldn't put that knight back, I'm pretty sure. But again, we're now looking at the Lichess Stockfish, not at Opening Trainer. Let's see what happens when I click next. Okay, it does take us back to another opening here. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep playing or probably, but let's look what else there is. There are statistics. Okay, you have to create an account for statistics. We might try that in a second. And positions, looks like you want to create an account for that too. Okay, but apparently you can start rated again. And it's remembered my rating so far, so you can use the site for free. Now, back here on the opening page, the first landing page, when you type in openingtrainer.com, there was a pricing link down here at the bottom that I saw earlier but didn't click on. Just for your information, and I forgot to do this when I did my first look at that other site last year, and so in my first look, I didn't mention what the pricing would be. It does look like if you get premium to get full access, it is $8 a month. If you pay monthly, or if you decide to pay yearly, it's a little bit less than that per month, $1.34 off each month if you pay by the year. Okay. I mean, $6, $7 a month isn't a lot as subscription services go these days. And what you get with the premium access, you get custom starting positions, a detailed statistics review, because when I clicked on statistics with the free thing, it didn't work. Repeat line button. Okay, so you could go back and try again. That makes sense. Access to all engine levels. Make the engine prefer trappy or dubious lines. Okay, guess that would be worthwhile. You can make the engine only pick moves played at least a certain percentage of the time. I remember that the other chessbook.com had that feature kind of built into the free version, but on that one you were limited to, I think, 200 moves before you had to pay. 200 moves across all the openings that you were training. And here you can download all your played openings in a PGN file with this paid version, view a list of all opening games which had mistakes, train the weakest lines button, and coming soon are a couple of other features, and full access to endgametrainer.com. Okay, so I'm going to guess that that is a related site, perhaps owned by the same people. I haven't heard of that one. Maybe we'll try that some other day. Okay, and I guess this is an example of the statistics that you can look at, and then some more screenshots here, some more testimonials. Oh, this time there's 6 testimonials. All right. Frequently asked questions. I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, for those of you that are new to my channel, I'm not a chess expert or a titled player or coach or anything like that. I'm just a random person trying to get better at chess. That's what this channel is about. And these kinds of sites help me sometimes to practice my openings. Besides chess.com, the only one that I've ever given money to in the past was the Gotham Chess's website, which he has a year or so ago migrated to Chessly, and now it is on a monthly recurring subscription, whereas in the past you would buy one lesson and have that lesson forever. Maybe because of my age, I prefer that one-time cost thing to these monthly subscriptions, but that is, is a personal preference. That usually is more upfront, but then you have that thing. Like in the old days, you would buy a chess book and you could study that book and go through it as many times as you wanted. And even if the publisher went out of business, you would still have that book. And now it's time to mention that in the message that the person asked me to take a look at this site, they also provided me a login to see what the premium account looks like. Now, I didn't do that at first because I wanted to see what it would look like for any of you that first went to this site and tried it. And it does look like you can play out up to 8 or so moves of an opening, and then it'll click that position to Lichess so you can analyze it with the engine, figure out what you did wrong. But let me try that login and see what it looks like with a premium account. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's find out. Okay, when I logged in, it reset my rating because I assumed that the previous one was saved as a cookie, and this one, because I haven't used this account yet, it has restarted me at 1200, whereas the first one started me at 1100, didn't it? Well, let's do it again and see what difference it makes. Start rated. Okay, I'm going to play the English and see if I remember what I should have done. If it plays the same moves as the other one did. Oh, this one didn't. It played the knight out, which I do see a lot more often. Okay, I'm going to play G3. Yes, this I see a lot more often than what it played earlier. And it is a little different. That I think I have seen that too, but again, usually the bishop comes out to one of these two squares, either C5 or B4. Well, again, here what I play is E3, but we're about to find out if that wasn't great. Now that I think I have to take, and they took back with their knight, and now I don't care if they take with that knight. I'm going to get this knight out, but no, it says that was the end. Really? Oh, okay. Okay. I had 2 pieces pointed there. I should have just taken. My bad. That one I saw immediately. I lost a bunch of points for that. Okay. I was going quickly because I didn't want the video to drag on forever. But yes, I understand that. I don't need to analyze it on Lichess. If we can we back up? No. Okay. Now we can look at the statistics page because I only have one game as white. Total games, average rating is not available yet. And then it has the, my stats so far. I totally get that this is not filled out yet because I just did the one thing here on camera. And then positions, my white openings. It's not showing anything there yet. Make some moves to add new positions. Oh, maybe I can set up an initial position to practice from. We go back to play, and if I decide to play as black, just out of curiosity, oh, I have a separate rating for black? Let's start this. Okay, they've played that. I'm going to play this and see what happens. Okay, I think we're going to end up in the... Is that the Nimzo Indian? No, they didn't get that knight out, so it's not yet the Nimzo Indian. Ooh, what do we play here? Do we play d5? Let's try d5. I almost always lose to the d4 openings, so I really don't know what to do. I guess I can go ahead and check them now. Castle? It hasn't kicked me out and said I lost yet. I honestly don't know if I'm supposed to take that knight or just leave my bishop there until they challenge it. I know if I take the knight, it kind of messes up their pawn structure, but it doesn't really hurt white. Otherwise, white wouldn't play this opening, right? Or should I take this pawn now and force them to move that bishop twice? Probably not. We're about to find out. Oh, apparently that was okay because it's still going. Oh, should I hop this knight in here to put more pressure on that other knight? Oh, I can take the, wait, oh, it said I won this one. I heard that. I think that's what the ding was for. I assume that ding came from this site and not from my phone. Where is my phone, by the way? I'll have to go find my phone here in a second. So I did that one right, but that was the opponent making a mistake. Bishop to d2 took us from them having an advantage down to me having an advantage. Just out of curiosity, if I click on Lichess, because now it's in my head and I'm kind of curious as to whether I did poorly or not. E6 wasn't great, but then when they play that, knight to f6 is fine. That's their best move. Okay, d5 was there, so I didn't mess up horribly. But now we're even. Oh, I should have just moved this up one. Okay, so how bad was it to put that all the way over there? Not too bad. And they should have blocked with the bishop, but they blocked with the knight, and castling was my best move. Okay, bishop to e2 is not one of the two best listed for them, but it just went there. And we're even again if I take the pawn. I wondered about that, or I could also play c5. Interesting. But taking the pawn was good because it forces their bishop to move twice, or no, they can just castle. But they did take there, and knight to e4 was not my best move. Okay, well, I must have misread the rating on the other site, or maybe it's using a slightly different engine than here. c5. Well, I get that. They wouldn't take because this knight is pinned, and if they did take, I would get their queen, and they couldn't take back with the knight. They'd have to take with their king. So they wouldn't take here. They would probably just castle, and then I would get rid of one of their center pawns, I guess. Okay, but I played in here. Okay, oh, that's okay. I misread the thing on the other site. It wasn't that they were using a different engine. It was that after I played knight to e4, that was bad. So it should have stopped there. But instead, my opponent played here, which takes it back to nearly even. And I should have. Okay, and apparently it doesn't matter whether I take the bishop with the knight or the knight with the bishop, because either way, we're trading off all four of those pieces, it looks like. Well, that's interesting that it kicks you over to Lichess to look at. Now I'm going to go back to the stats that I've played too. Okay, 2 total games. One is white and one is black. And then here it shows my average rating for black, average eval, my openings for white. My average eval was not great. And I can click the details, which what does that do? Oh, there's that fancy graph it was talking about. Yeah, it shows my rating going down here. I assumed that graph would get a little bit more jagged once you did a lot of opening tries. And there's a little tracker here over your last 20 games, over your last 50 games. It can train the weakest lines, which was just the one because I didn't do well. And then again, the list down here. One thing I didn't look at was, can you change the piece sets or the color of the board? And I just noticed the little settings icon here. It is general. You can train on various time controls. And right now it's just selected as blitz and rapid. Rated mode, game duration. You can change the time duration and initial ratings for new positions. Okay, and training mode, you can show the eval. Here's where you can set for the engine to prefer trappy or dubious lines. Oh, and here you can set the percentage for the engine only picks moves played at least this percentage of the time. So you can move this slider, and it looks like you have a very fine tuning of this slider. It doesn't have stops at every 5% or 10% or something. It looks like you can say 1% or 3% or 31%. And so I like that. I like that sliders. I don't like sliders that make you stop at every so many numbers. Otherwise, why have the slider? But this is what a slider is for, to give you options of all the percentages. Okay, I get that. But it does not look like you can change the color of the board, which probably I shouldn't be worried about. It is just that the tan color, like I said, it's better than that dark green that they had on that other site. But on that other site, you could change it. I don't see a way to change it here. And my apologies to the people that asked me to take a look at this site. I'm not here to critique it or just compare it to that one site. It's just the only other openings trainer that I've ever looked at. So that's my basis for reference. But I do prefer this. There is enough contrast between these two colors. The piece set, all the pieces are easily recognizable. And so far, I haven't seen any bugs or glitches with the site. Everything seems to work as expected. As I think I've mentioned on a few other sites, I would like a tooltip. I know that everyone knows that the gear icon is settings, but me personally, again, maybe because of my age, when I hover my mouse pointer over an icon, I want a word to pop up, just to be sure. Now, if the link is a word, then I don't need that. But when it's an image, I would like it to pop up here. Now here, this is profile. Hopefully it won't reveal anything private, but I'm going to take a look at that. You can manage the subscription, join the Discord, contact support, sign out, Endgame Trainer. This is already a little long, but I'm going to click on that just in case to see what Endgame Trainer looks like. It definitely looks like it's made by the same company or people. And now there's tabs here, Opening Trainer, Endgame Trainer. It said is my turn and the objective is a draw. Okay, I'm playing with the black pieces. Is that what that king means there? That because it's black that I'm playing with the black pieces? I'm also going to guess that based on the numbers here, 1 through 8, since I've got the 8th rank closer to me, that means I'm probably playing with black, but little constructive criticism. I would like that to be noted here, rather than just having to guess it from the layout of the board and the color of this king. Again, maybe just a personal preference. Maybe that would be too cluttered for other people. Okay, my objective is a draw. Well, I can't come closer here because of the king. Also, the rook is covering those squares as well. I don't think it makes any sense to move my king the other direction. So I think I need to make a rook move, and I don't have a pawn, so that's my only choices. And looks like my only choices are to either check down here on a7 or maybe go here so that I can... No, because I don't want to give up the rook for the pawn if they have a rook. I think I have to check them. I'm going to try that. Okay, and I still can't bring my king. So should I check them again? Because they can't advance the pawn while I'm checking them. And as long as their king comes toward my rook, I can just go back and forth. If it ever gets away from its pawn, then I could get my rook over there and either take the pawn or get in front of it, depending on which rank we're on. So they did that. So I should probably come back down now instead of checking them, right? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to check them again. Oh, I failed. So I probably should have come back down to a7 is my guess. Just out of curiosity, I have to go to Lichess to analyze. That was my mistake, apparently. So here I had multiple moves here. Rook to a7 or king to g7. Okay, but this took us to giving them a huge advantage as long as they went this way. Well, the endgame trainer certainly looks like it's something that I could benefit from, maybe even more than the opening trainer. Certainly, if you mess up just a little bit in an opening like I did, going from, +9 to 0 or something, you can make that up during the rest of the game. But in an endgame position like this, you can just lose if you make the wrong move like I just did. There are pawn endgames, several different kinds, like a king and a pawn versus a king and a pawn versus king and a pawn, king and 2 pawns versus a king. Well, it says that one's free. But I should have access to all of them, right? That's what the other thing said? Or maybe I just have access to some of the endgame traders. There are rook endgames. Rook versus rook is the free one. So if I click on one of those others, okay, so getting the premium on the openingtrainer.com does not give you full access to this one, which apparently is the same price, but it just gives you access to some of it. Okay, that's interesting because I thought back on Opening Trainer. Yeah, it took me a second to get back to this pricing page that I was on earlier. I had to log out and go to the website. But it does say here that also included is full access to Endgame Trainer. But as we saw, I did not have full access. I only had really limited access to Endgame Trainer. So if I go back here and sign in, and then once I'm signed in, if I go to Endgame Trainer, I would have expected it to know that I was signed in. Oh, but here it says sign in. Oh, I wasn't signed in when I went to Endgame Trainer, so maybe that's my fault. I wonder if the same login would work. Okay, that was my fault, and I'm willing to fully admit that. I just thought that when I clicked onto that from Opening Trainer that it would automatically have me logged into this, but it did not. But my same login did work for it. So we answered that question ourselves. If you do pay for the monthly access or the yearly access to openingtrainer.com, you will get full access to endgametrainer.com here, so you can practice all of these different pawn endgames. There are a bunch of rook endgames, a bunch of queen endgames, knight endgames, and bishop endgames. Probably all of which I need work on, and it wouldn't surprise me if, some of you needed work on those as well. And then from here, you can click back to Opening Trainer, which I'm still signed into. I will just say I appreciate the person who sent me the message and who provided me with the premium account. I was able to show the users a little bit more with that, and I think the site's pretty solid. It's obviously hard to tell, having only used it for, a handful of minutes here, less than half an hour. But if you are somebody who is working on openings, or you feel that some of your openings are weak, this looks like as good a way as any to try them. And as you saw, you can try it at least to some extent for free, without signing in, without paying. So I would say to give it a shot. As always, thank you for spending your time here, and I'll see you next time.